This video is sponsored by Normandy 1998 and Ash. We resume with our heroes on Grande Island, having finally arrived at the site of their upcoming Hoenn League challenge. However, due to not needing to stop off in Slateport for the Grande Festival, they are actually a week earlier than in canon, meaning the only ones around are league officials and a few particularly serious competitors. Thankfully, this latter category are exactly the kind of people Ash and May know will be their greatest rivals, while Max is eager to check out their strong Pokemon, and Brock is just excited to be on the same island as so many Officer Jennies and Nurse Joys. As for Norman and Caroline, their interests lie in the League Torch, with Norman revealing that when he took on the Hoenn League many years ago, he was a torch runner, with Ash and Brock agreeing that they've been torch runners in the past as well. While looking slightly puzzled, May asks what that is exactly. Shaking his head that he can't believe she's competing in the league when she doesn't even know that, Max answers that torch runners are the ones who carry the torch into the arena to begin the conference, with Ash grinning that it's really fun, and they should all sign up to do it. While May had truthfully been more interested in checking out the island's restaurants with their spare time, it's rather difficult to admit that with her mum and dad watching on proudly, and so letting out a sigh, the brunette acquiesces, heading to the League HQ with the rest of the group, where she and Ash are accepted for the position without issue, especially when Mr. Goodshow learns that his old friends from Kanto are here. Though they're not the only ones present, as when the pair sign up, they're greeted by another aspiring torch runner named Tyson, who is accompanied by a surly Meowth in boots. Smiling with a warmth that makes up for his Pokemon's bad attitude, Tyson invites them out to lunch with him as a way of getting to know each other, an act which immediately puts him in May's good graces, with it quickly becoming clear that she and Tyson are kindred spirits, as when they arrive in a small out-of-the-way bistro they both gush over the food, so that soon the pair are making plans to hit up every restaurant on the island together, alongside Kecleon, who with the scent of food burst from its ball and began stealing snippets from everyone's plates, much to Tyson's amusement and May's annoyance. However, this is not all they talk about, as upon learning that Tyson is a fellow competitor, May and Ash begin swapping stories of their journeys so far, with Norman recounting how his battle with Tyson was one of the toughest he's had all season, especially that Meowth of his, who is quite the normal type, take it from him. Modestly, Tyson waves this off as being more to Meowth's credit than his, though by now he has piqued the interest of both Ash and May, who implored the maroon-haired young man to battle them so they can test their mettle, even if it's just a quick spar in case they don't get paired up in the league. Laughing good-naturedly, Tyson replies that they'll see how it goes, since for now his focus is on his torch running duties, something everyone can understand. Over the next week, Ash and May split their focus between battle training and prep for the torch run, growing close to Tyson as a result, with him frequently joining them for meals and getting to know them and their Pokemon. Consequently, while he was originally rostered to do the final leg of the run and be the one to light the torch, he instead requests to take the starting stretch, so that Ash and May can have the glory of finishing things off. Graciously, Mr. Goodshow accepts this request, much to the pair's delight, and since Ash has already lit a league torch once before, he sees to it that when the day finally comes, he positions himself in the penultimate spot, handing the torch off to May for the final leg, and applauding with everyone else when she enters the stadium and officially declares the Evergrande Conference open. Following the opening ceremonies, the gang go out to dinner to celebrate, with Norman declaring it his treat. As a result, May implores the others to check out a new pasta place, with it not taking much to convince them, though Ash is a little hesitant when he learns that their specialty is spicy spaghetti with tomato berries, remembering all too well the sensation of eating one of those burning berries before. Nonetheless, being the more adventurous one, at least when it comes to culinary expeditions, May is quick to order herself a big bowl of the stuff, though this is not the only thing she receives, as not long after chowing down, an older girl with oceanside green hair approaches the table and calmly asks what she thinks of the pasta. Midway through a big mouthful, May rather impressively slurps down the contents of her fork before flashing a wide grin and beaming that it's amazing. The spice really opens up her taste buds. She can taste all the little flavors combining in her mouth. Smiling fondly at this exuberant reaction, the young woman replies that she feels exactly the same way, which is why it's her favorite, before introducing herself as Katie and stating that she already knows who the younger girl is, having seen her light the league torch. Hearts in his eyes for a beautiful young woman who admires cooking, Brock uses this moment to pipe up, claiming that he was a torch runner once too, only for Max to promptly shut him up, though surprisingly Katie doesn't even seem to notice the disturbance, her eyes still on May as if scanning her, as she next tells her to eat up, since there's something undeniably fascinating about the girl, so she wants her at full strength for when they battle. She then bids the group good night and turns on her heels, causing Ash and May to look over each other, stating that she seems nice, but also kinda intense, so they should keep an eye on her moving forward. This turns out to be a good instinct, as the following morning Katie is among the first runners to battle in the preliminary round, with her analytical style making quick work of her opponent before they can even land a hit on her Pokemon. However, she is not the only one to prove her strength in these opening stages, as not long after Katie, both Ash and May are called to battle, though due to a bit of bad luck, the matches are at the same time so they can't cheer each other on. All the same, the pair wish each other luck, while teasing the other better not lose, since after all they've been through, the only way either of them are allowed to leave this tournament is at the hand of the other. For his opponent, Ash finds himself paired up against Jump and his Electabuzz, though this is no problem, as having registered to use Pikachu as his opener, it quickly turns into an electric-type duel, and when sparks fly, the spunky and Cantonian rodent is always gonna come out on top. As for May, she gets Ash's canon opponent in Gilbert and his Hitmonlee, and like her friend has decided that she wants to start her league run with her starter, meaning it is Kicking Fiend versus Fiery Fowl. Taking the first move, Gilbert commands Hitmonlee to trip Combusken with a rolling kick. Though demonstrating its own fleet footwork, the fire starter deftly leaps over this before launching an overheat downwards that makes the fighting type wince. Nonetheless, Gilbert is not out of tricks, having his partner cancel the rolling kick and transition into a mega kick, seeing the coiled leg of Hitmonlee suddenly snake backwards to strike Combusken in the back, sending it tumbling to the ground as the boy had intended. Pressing the advantage, Gilbert next has Hitmonlee attempt another mega kick, this time as a stomp, though proving what a tenacious pair they have become in their travels, May has Combusken roll out of the way with a flame charge, so that Hitmonlee's foot gets buried in the ground. Then before it can get free, the Firebird comes back in to strike it head on, sending it bungeeing away before being forced back by the elasticity of its leg, right into Combusken's waiting arms, or rather, beak, delivering a sudden stop peck that has Hitmonlee seeing stars, while the ref declares it unable to battle, advancing May to the top 264. For the qualifying rounds, the format has changed from single battles to doubles, though this is not an issue for Ash or May, as having practiced with the format, they are more than capable of winning their first double battles with ease, as are Tyson and Katie, the latter of whom having taken to watching each of May's matches in a way that makes the young girl unsure if she should feel flattered or unnerved. However, there is one thing that she knows precisely how unnerved to feel about, and that is her third round opponent's first Pokemon, Tentacool. Having already won their matches, Ash, Tyson, and Katie are all in attendance, so cannot help but notice when Norman, Carol, and Max all grimace in unison, with the bespectacled boy muttering that this is really not good. Evidently this is true, as at the sight of the jellyfish May had frozen, having to be reminded to bring out her own Pokemon or face disqualification, causing Ash to question what's gotten into May all of a sudden, since he's never seen her act like this. Sheepishly, Caroline begins to decide that it's really her fault, though somehow hearing this over the din of the crowd, May shrieks at her mother not to tell that story. This at least does animate the girl enough to bring out her Lairon and Zangoose, while also recognizing her opponent's second Pokemon is Houndoom, having missed that entirely in the terror of the tentacle sighting. Unfortunately, in spite of this brief perk-up, the girl is still plainly on the back foot, as she puts all her effort into having her Pokemon gang up on Houndoom, to the point where she is practically ignoring the water poison type like she doesn't want to acknowledge its existence. This is a clear tactical error, as by doing this, she allows Tentacool to get off a series of super effective attacks on Lairon, taking it out and significantly worsening her shot at victory, as the Iron Armor Pokemon's Mud Slap was super effective against both of her opponent's Pokemon. Grimacing now too at the sight of their friend fumbling an easy win, Brock and the assembled league participants implore Caroline to tell them why May seems so afraid of the jellyfish Pokemon, with Ash insisting that maybe if they know, they can help her. Recognizing the earnestness in his eyes and voice, the orange-haired woman recounts that it all began when May was very young and they were on holiday at a beach, as one day while out swimming, she suddenly found herself surrounded by a swarm of Tentacool and was unable to get away. Compassionately, Brock sighs that such an event would traumatize any child, though shaking his head, Max gravely assures him that the worst is yet to come. Furrowing his brow, Tyson asks how that's possible, though still in her sheepish tone, Caroline explains that when May called for help, she came to try and save her, but due to the blue swim cap the girl was wearing and her hair flowing into the water, she accidentally mistook her daughter for one of the Tentacool and threw a Pokeball right at her head. As one, Ash, Brock, and Tyson all wince, concurring that this is a pretty rough childhood experience, while Katie says that she hopes May is able to overcome this trauma. Nonetheless, wanting to help May through this, the group all cry out their support for the girl, with Max well-meaningly, but perhaps foolishly cheering that she looks nothing like a Tentacool now. Strangely enough, this is just what May needs to hear, not because of his encouragement, but because the sheer anger and embarrassment of having her childhood trauma made public is able to burn away all of her fear, and replace it with the determination to end this battle as fast as possible so she can go find a hole to hide in. Consequently, she has Zangoose rush in with Quick Attack and tackle Houndoom, though not to down it, but instead to assert dominance, as she has her ferret friend clamber onto its back and mount up for a head-on charge at Tentacool. To Zangoose's credit, when they first met it never would have considered such a reckless strategy, though having grown alongside May, it is ready to confront its fear since it can see she is doing the same. With this in mind, Zangoose steers the Devil Dog right into the jellyfish Pokemon, trampling it before leaping off just as Houndoom collides with a wall, taking it out thanks to all the damage it took at the start of the match. Then, on May's command, the once cowardly normal type demonstrates a new move it learned during the week of training, Close Combat, with this seeing it and Tentacool vanish in a cartoonish cloud of dust and flailing limbs. Finally, after what feels like forever, the dust settles, and from it emerges Zangoose holding Tentacool aloft on one of its claws, demonstrating for all to see that together, both it and May have conquered their fears at last. In the euphoria of victory, May is willing to forgive her family for telling the beach story, though it doesn't hurt that there's a new ice cream van parked just outside the stadium, meaning everyone can enjoy a sweet treat as she, Ash, Tyson, and Katie swap stories of their battles, while the others add their thoughts and insights, along with a solid amount of praise for the young battlers. With this, the final qualifying round is set to begin, in which the contestants will be halved once again, with those who survive being granted entry into the victory tournament. For his match, Ash faces off against a muscle-bound young man named Gavin, who's Marchap and Marowak and no match for Crawdont and Claydol, while May finds herself paired up with a young man known as Clark the Conductor, a pretentious battler, but one who is considered to have good odds of winning the league. For their match, Clark chooses to use his Charizard and Quilava, while May goes with Marill and Snowrunt, causing Clark to pompously declare that this match won't even make it past the Overture, as he commands his pair to use Steel Wing and Flame Wheel respectively. With a whip from his conductor's baton, the two fire types are off, though being ready for them, May has a counter in place, instructing Snowrunt to use Double Team to thwart Quilava who is coming for it, while Marill is to meet Steel Wing with Aqua Tail. Noting their understanding, the two Pokemon then set about their work, though while Snowrunt is able to avoid Quilava, when Tail and Wing collide, Marill comes out the loser, being sent rolling backwards. Smirking, Clark taunts that it looks like Marill is little more than an understudy, not yet ready for the big stage, though this is just the wrong thing to say, as it inspires Marill to perform a little ditty of its own called Laugh While You Can, for soon I will make you rue those words, pathetic human, the first verse of which is centered around Charizard, and taking it out of the sky. To this end, on May's command, the little blue Demon Lord uses the real Snowrunt as a springboard to leap into the air after Charizard, catching in the stomach with a surprise Aqua Tail and causing it to roar in pain. Unfortunately, this does reveal the identity of its target to Quilava, who zeroes in on the Ice type, though this is not a concern, as it seems Marill has an Aqua Tail for it too, using its descent to gather up more force for the hit so that when it lands on top of Quilava, two lumps form on the Fire type, one on its back where Marill sits, and the other on its forehead courtesy of the Morning Star. Understandably, this sends the Searing Stoat staggering, putting it in a prime position for an Icy Wind from Snowrunt, and as the Fire type finds itself frozen solid in 2 days to reignite its head or tail flames, Marill is at last free to turn its attention back to Charizard. However, unlike last time, it seems the aquatic menace will not have to seek out its rival, as refusing to allow one of his Pokemon to be immobilized, Clark swishes his baton and orders Charizard to use Heat Wave on its frozen partner in the hopes of defrosting it. Thinking fast and proving herself a true disciple of the Ash Ketchum school of unconventional strategy, May instructs Snowrunt to meet this head-on with an Icy Wind, resulting in a thick fog blanketing the field as hot and cold air collide. Showing the first sign of his smug facade cracking, Clark worriedly calls out for Quilava, though it is not Quilava who responds, but Marill, as with a fearsome war cry, it bursts from the cloud, having jumped on the Fire Ferret's head lump to gain height. However, this is not all it does, as gathering up all the water vapor in the air from the melted ice, it creates a massive misty Aqua Tail, which it swings upwards, collecting first the semi-defrosted Quilava, and second the completely stunned Charizard, with both being little more than bugs on a windshield as they are lifted up and then slammed back down for a colossal amount of super effective damage. Unsurprisingly, such a move is more than enough to take them out, and as the mist dissipates and swirls around the bottom of the battlefield like the domain of a sinister demon, Marill stands triumphantly atop its vanquished foes, claiming all the credit for this victory, and proudly declaring itself a Dragon Slayer amongst its already impressive roster of titles. As for Snowrunt, despite having been the strong support without which none of this could have happened, it makes no attempt to burst its battle partner's bubble, instead performing a happy dance at Marill's side, cheering it on just as the crowd does when they and their trainers are declared the winners. Following this, May rendezvous with her friends and family back at the Pokemon Center, figuring that her team could use a rest, especially since they're in the victory tournament now, which means nothing but full 6-on-6 battles from here on in. Naturally, Norman and Caroline have nothing but praise for their daughter, with Norman beaming that he has every confidence May will make it even further in the finals than he did in his youth. Likewise, Ash, Max, Brock, Tyson, and Katie had their congratulations, with Max even admitting that he and Roltz forgot to breathe for a moment when Marill pulled off that massive Aqua Tail even bigger than the one in Juford. Smiling, May calls them all the best, while flashing her trademark V for victory, in a wordless promise not to let them down as she keeps aiming for the top. However, all joviality quickly drains from her face when the victory tournament opening matches appear on the Pokemon Center's main television screen, and as she looks up at the familiar image next to hers, she finds herself unsure how to feel. And that's where we'll leave things. Who is May's first finals opponent? Does she have what it takes to beat them? And how many Friends League dreams will she have to crush in the pursuit of the champion title? Find out as the journey continues.